Hi everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. This is Melanie and today's my midweek check-in with you, and I am dealing with my zone 0. I'm not going to make a ton of changes because I've been fine-tuning this for a while and I think that it is working pretty well for the most part. What you have in front of you is what is called a table tidy. This is from Tonic Studios, and it has 2 clamps here that will allow it to clamp onto the edge of the desk. This one sits to the immediate right of me. I am right hand dominant, so that just seems to make the most sense for me. Within this container I have one acrylic organizer. I think I picked this up at Target maybe at some point, or off of Amazon. Mostly what's in here is adhesive and spray bottles. There's a couple blocks, but I will walk you through what I have. So in the back here I've got tucked in some foam squares. In this little section I have my embossing tool, my powder tool. I have some needles for stitching. I have back here, I have some glue dots. I have a ton of credit cards, gift cards, that kind of thing, which I use for mixed media. I have a water bottle. This is from Tonic Studios. I have my fabric tack glue, my tacky glue from Eileen's, my Tonic Studio or Nouveau deluxe adhesive. That's in here. In this divider, I've got a whiteout tape for making, you know, when you make mistakes. Got a date stamp. I have a partial spray bottle filled with rubbing alcohol, and this is another water bottle. I don't know why I feel I need to have 2, but I guess I need a backup just in case. I have some regular Scotch tape. I have a small regular size stapler. And underneath these layers here, I have my cutting system for my Creative Memory circle cutter, and yes, I do still use that quite extensively. I have some ATG tape, and yes, it is not a dispenser because right now the dispenser and me are having a little bit of a tiff, and so we've parted ways for the moment. I also have a Tombow adhesive runner, a refill, and some like score tape, double-sided sticky tape. Also have a pencil sharpener, a kneaded eraser, toothpicks. Sometimes toothpicks are just needed to get into those small little places, and it's just kind of handy to have. What else do we got? I've got a little cork with some pins and an awl stuck in there, and I have a very old Creative Memories corner rounder, which comes in handy every now and then. And I've got a couple really small acrylic blocks. I have some Distress Paper Mosaic Glaze. I think this is pretty much the same as Crystal Effects and Glossy Accents. I think it's the same. I treat it the same. I have alcohol blending solution. Now this doesn't really have to be in here. Really, I only use this with alcohol inks. And I think I might try and see if I can find a better spot for this. So I'm going to pull that out. And that will give me just a little more room in here so it's not quite so cramped. I have a Ranger glue stick and Connect Gina K glue. I received that in a retreat that I went to, so I'm just trying that out. I have some Loctite super glue. The fine line bottles, I have Eileen's tacky glue, so same as this, but just in a fine line applicator. I do water it down a little bit, meaning I add a little bit of water just to make it flow through the tip a little easier. This is Scotch Create tacky glue. It's pretty much empty, and main bottle is gone as well, so I will need to be replacing that. And this is a Stampin' Up! Glue. It did come in a fine line applicator, but it got really badly clogged, and I was not able to save that. I have a glue eraser and a white eraser. I have a couple types of glue dots, and that is pretty much everything that is in this container. Along the edge, I keep binder clips, which are always helpful for holding things down while I am gluing. And I have attached that will hang off. I have a bunch of labels, and I just keep these readily available so that I don't have to go pull a binder, but I do have a binder that does have labels in it if I can't find anything that will work in here. I have the Sizzix sandwich instructions. This came with my Big Shot, the big shot. I can't remember what it's called. Big Shot Express, Big Shot something or another. I also have some old Stampin' Up! Tools. There's a distressor, paper distressor, there's a score blade, a cutting blade, and a perforating blade. And then I have some charms, which just kind of are fun. I also made some washi sample sheets. This is just plastic that I laminated, a laminated folder to create them, and then I just wound different washi tape around them. Even though my washi tape is literally 3 steps to my left, if I don't have to get off my desk, I am more inclined to use it, and this has worked really well for me. I do have some empties in here, and I have used up some of the other patterns, so where there's gaps you can see where I've used them up. So I will go through my collection at some point and add some more because I do find that convenient. Attached to this side of the table tidy, I have a smaller compartment. This just hooks onto the edge like that. And within here I have a lot of different black inks and some specialty inks. So I'll show you what I consider worthy of sitting next to me. So I do have my Stampin' Up! Basic Brown that I keep in here. My VersaFine Onyx Black. Stays On in Jet Black. Memento in Brown, Memento in Tuxedo Black, and Memento in London Fog. These all work really well with Copic colorings, which is why I keep those in here. The Stays On is a permanent ink. It's a solvent ink, so you can stamp on like slick surfaces. Of course, I keep my Versamark in here, which is great for embossing. I have an alcohol lift ink, which is kind of a specialty ink pad that you can use with alcohol inks, obviously, hence the name. I've got Hero Arts Pigment Ink in Unicorn. Simon Says Stamp Intense Black. This will work with alcohol markers as well. I've got Archival ink. This is permanent waterproof ink. It is oil based, so it's a little different than some of the other ones. And then I have a Hero Arts in black. In case you're wondering what this is, I got this in a retreat, and it's just a piece of non-slip drawer liner. And someone had suggested that it is a good way to place your ink pad on your work surface. I'm going to shake the table here, so pardon for the shaking of the camera. But basically, it allows for the ink pad to stay in place. So when you're stamping, you don't have to worry about it scooting over your surface. So I'm just keeping that on top. I haven't used it extensively at this point. The concept of it sounds like a good idea. I just haven't done a ton of stamping lately, so I haven't checked that out. So that is the table tidy on the right. Let's go to the left. Okay, so this is the second table tidy, and I've got a few things in here, but not nearly as many as the other one. As I indicated, this sits to my left. I have 2 skeins or 2 rolls of crochet thread. I've really been into stitching in the last little while, and so I like having those readily available. I have all my cardstock samples, so these would be all the solid cardstock that I have in inventory for the most part. This is really useful when I'm trying to find a color, and then I do have a number written on here so I know where it is in my craft room. And so those just sit right there. I have a couple photos that I want to scrapbook. For right now, it just makes sense to keep them here, and I have a few books. Now, to be honest, I don't need all 3 books in here, so I'm going to pull these 2 out and just leave this one in so that I can use it up and move on from there. So these are going to go elsewhere. Hanging off the side of that table tidy, I have 2 of these smaller units. So within this one, I keep some washi tape rolls in here that I just use for functional purposes, not for decorative, and I also have some post-it notes floating around in the bottom. I have an idea book, so this would include ideas for videos, and I like to keep that just right next to me in case I'm inspired by something. And then this little notebook, I'm actually trying to keep track this year of what I'm using and what I'm bringing in. So for instance, like I'm tracking 12 by 12 paper, you know, in January so far, I've used 25, 24, 11, 13, and 7, and I brought in 56 and 40 sheets. So my plan is at the end of each month to kind of do an accounting of where I'm at, and hopefully I am using more than I am bringing in. At least that's the goal. So that's what's in that pouch. In this pouch here, I have a few tools. I have these finishing files from Close to My Heart. I have the Sizzix die cleaner outer brush. I have the Power Punch 1/4 inch because I use that all the time, and I have the tiny attacher and I use that all the time. So those just sit right next to me to the left. The newest addition to my Zone 0 is this unit here that I picked up from Office Depot, I think, or Staples. I'm not sure. If I can find the link for it, I will include it below. It's just a little divided organizer, and it has worked out perfectly. I heard about this through Janet from RTS, so kudos for her for finding it. It is the perfect desktop solution to store bulky items. I was trying to store all of these in that table tidy before, but they stood up higher than the desk and it just wasn't ideal. I mean, it worked, it just wasn't ideal. So this is also to my left, so even though I am right-handed, I do store this to the left and it seems to be working just fine. So what's all in here? So in this front compartment, I have 2 things. I have my tiny paper trimmer, and yes, I do still use this. I like it for trimming smaller pieces, and I have a very small bit of foam tape. Obviously, if I have a bigger roll, that would go in here as well, but right now I'm getting down towards the end of that. I have 2 additional hole punches. This is a 1/8 and a 1/16. They're both from Fiskars. And I have a remote control for my video camera in the small compartment. In the large compartment, I have my Misty. I have the regular size Misty. I have some piercing templates, a piercing mat, a T-square ruler, a tearing edge ruler, and to be honest, I hadn't used this in a very long time, but I was using it on a recent project, and so it's made its way up into Zone 0 again. As you will come to know, that things come and go and change, and you're constantly modifying your space based on what you're interested in using. And then I have a Fiskars grid ruler. I cannot live without this. It is 6 by 12. I have a math set in here, you know, one of those ones from when you were in school. It's got the protractor and compass and all that kind of stuff. Does it need to be here? Not necessarily. I don't use it that often, but I do have the space and it kind of fits with what else is going on in this box, so I'm okay with leaving that in here at this time. So let me put this back and I'll show you what else I keep on my desk. Also on my desk, I have two of these tool caddies or tool organizers. I started off with this one, and for quite a while this was the only one that I had on my desk. And while I can fit, I think, almost everything from here in this one as well, I just found it was a little more difficult to find slots to fit everything in, and so I opted to go to two. What I really like about these is they're very streamlined, and I actually line them up this way in front of that other box that I just showed you. This one here is primarily pens and pencils. I have, you know, regular Bic pens to Clear Wink of Stella to Dilutions paint pens to Sharpies, pencils, eraser, that kind of thing. I just like having this really easily and readily available. And on this is what I'm considering my most used tools. I really pared this down significantly. I used to keep way more tools on my desk, but at the end of the day I figured that this was what I use the most often. So I do have two palette knives on here. Do I need two palette knives? No, so one could probably go somewhere else, but I have plenty of room at this point, so I don't feel the need to change it. You know, I have a quickie glue pen, I have a water brush, I have a couple pickup sticks, if you will, a couple brushes for glitter. I've got an X-Acto knife, a paper piercer, and a few pairs of scissors. I also keep a roll of paper towels on my desk, because you never know. And I keep my Big Shot. Not ideal. Never thought well, I didn't think I wanted it on my desk. But it just ended up that I was pulling it out all the time anyways, so why not just have it on there? And so that just sits immediately to the right, just in front of the table tidy. I had mentioned earlier that I have another unit that's attached to the side of my desk over here, and it's not really easy to pull the bins off, so I just pulled the contents out instead. And what do I keep in there? I keep some baby wipes, some extra plastic bags, some hand sanitizer. I keep hand sanitizer more for cleaning than necessarily to sanitize my hands, and you can also do some techniques with that. And I also keep some petroleum jelly. I'm experimenting with this, so maybe if my experiments are good, I will share that. If not, I guess you'll never know why I keep petroleum jelly at my desk. And then I have a tin, and in here I keep a bunch of Swiffer cloths that I've trimmed down to smaller pieces so that if I'm working with glitter and stuff, I can quickly wipe that up. I also keep this vase on the desk to store small paper scraps. Even though my garbage can is literally right to the left of me, I do find that I like putting smaller pieces in this jar. I don't know why, I just do. And so I have that on my desk as well. And in the new compartment underneath the top layer of my desk, I am storing my paper trimmer and my manual typewriter. Hopefully by having these really close, they won't end up on the floor like they normally do, and that I will use them. Well, obviously the paper trimmer I'll use for sure, but the typewriter, I found if it was elsewhere in the room, I didn't grab it as quickly. So hopefully this will change that situation. And the last thing that I keep on my desk, besides camera equipment, lighting, etc., is this candy tray, and you can see it's got a hodgepodge of all sorts of stuff in here. I need to go through this, which is what I'm going to do now. Usually I keep in here my disc holder, you know, and just some little odds and ends and stuff, but I definitely need to clean this out. So that's going to get cleaned up yet this week before next week's organization challenge. So I'd love to hear how you are making out this week. Let me know below, or if you're over on the Facebook group, An Organized Crafted Life, so leave a post there or share pictures if you feel comfortable. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, everyone, and until next time, happy organizing.